Liberation greetings to all and sundry, my dear people of Amazonia, my dear people of the southern Cameroons, our fellow brave warriors of our liberation movement. Accept liberation greetings from me, Comrade John Akuro, this 24th day of May 2025. I want to extend special salutes to all our brave hearts on ground zero, to the civil society, to the civilian population that continue to make nonsense of the efforts of La République du Cameroon to portray a certain fake and false visual to the world. Continually, our people have kept saying no, and they are saying no over and over and over again. La République du Cameroon and their cohorts and their apparatchiks in our midst have on several occasions come out that they are celebrating that they have defeated and crushed Amazonia. But the days don't go by many before we see them coming back to the same drawing board where they were and trying to do the same things they have been doing over and over, as if they have forgotten that they previously said the southern Cameroon's dream for a free, independent, democratic, and prosperous country had died. I particularly today want to extend hearty regards to the people of Fako and Boya, especially, because by observing those ghost towns leading to May 20th, you laid bare the practices of La République du Cameroon that continue to want to give the impression to the rest of the world that we, the people, have suddenly decided that we don't want freedom anymore, have suddenly decided that our quest for freedom was fake and stupid, have suddenly decided that we are no longer ready to fight and continue to fight so hard for that which we believe in. We make nonsense of those attempts on a daily basis. They will continue because they feel they have that firm conviction that when you tell a lie over and over and over and over again, it may one day become the truth. Of course, you and I know that this is not possible. A lie will remain a lie. Yeah, a lie will remain a lie because with each passing day, the people are living in reality. They are coming away from a world full of dreams, stupid dreams, to a world of reality. And that reality is that the only way the southern Cameroons, aka Amazonia, stands on its feet, becomes a place to be, really gets called home again, grants the promise of freedom and prosperity to the people, is that we are able to send away La République du Cameroon 100% out of our land. Our people continue to understand this reality, and by day and by night, many more of those who had dropped along the line are waking back up from sleep and understanding that we have one way, which is the hard way, and it is the only way, standing firm until we get La République du Cameroon out of our land. I'm delighted that even in the midst of all the threats, in the midst of all the harassment and all of those, there are still some news organs operating in the southern Cameroons that have the balls to put it as it is. And that one is the Post newspaper. You see, they say May 20, 1972 referendum scam. Nemesis catches up with La République du Cameroon. When they say Nemesis catches up with La République du Cameroon, they are actually making clear that La République du Cameroon itself continues to realize by day and by night that by trying to play it fast on the people of the southern Cameroons, they really never succeeded in, in making the people accept, in making the people lose sight of the fact that we are different. That is why they say whether you like it or not, there is no way to really fight the spirit of freedom. Because freedom is a spirit. And because freedom is a spirit, it never dies. You can't kill it. It must journey until it gets to where it was headed. And there is nothing anybody can do about it. Not even those chiefs from the place that we Cameroon call Southwest, who decide to make fools of themselves, can cause the people of the southern Cameroons to no longer realize that what we need is absolute freedom, absolute independence, full self-determination. Not even them, who allow themselves to be humiliated like riffraffs, who allow themselves to be pulled on the nose by Bulu Ekampeti people who come into the land with one clear intention: to steal, to maim, to plunder, and to dehumanize and humiliate. That's exactly what they have been doing. Because take a look here. I really didn't muster the muzzle to play by the video because their movements would have made my heart to continue to sink. That these are chiefs, supposed custodians of our traditions, the owners of the land, being pulled by the nose by a colonial administration, being threatened to their marrows, and they find themselves filing past like fools that they are marching and celebrating a day that dehumanized them, a day that made them subhumans. Very shameful and embarrassing. This image made me laugh. It can as well make somebody to cry at the same time. Because when I read this seeming bravado, the seeming bravado from Chief Atem Ebako, who was reacting with strong words to the colonial senior divisional officer of Fako, for them to threaten the chiefs, and even ended up by saying, just because he believed in that illusion that they keep talking about called national unity, he would have asked the colonial SDU to apologize. So many people read this like me, because this mail came out before May 20th, thought erroneously that Chief Atem Ebako and his colleagues, the chiefs, will teach that stupid colonial administrator a lesson by maintaining their dignity, by maintaining their self-pride and doing things right and not obeying foolishness. Oh, no, 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 no. I saw this down. I said, no, Chief Atem Ebako got up from sleep. Chief Atem Ebako is mobilizing his folks that they should say no to Paul Biya and his band of idiots. But the embarrassment was total on May 20th to find that the delusional so-called chiefs filed past as instructed by that colonial administrator who threatened to make disciplinary sanctions on the owners of the land, and they found themselves marching like primary school pupils because they were afraid of the impending sanctions. This disgrace, they bring it not just on themselves, but they bring it upon generations and generations of their offspring, their children, who will look at these pictures in the future and curse the day God brought them to the world through this kind of individuals with no balls, with no idea who exactly they are, and with no idea what exactly they represent. It's so humiliating because I saw it on social media. How people were embarrassed that while they were seeing people calling themselves their chiefs being humiliated in this manner over in La République du Cameroon, in the West region, they could see a small boy. Of course, it's a fun, so it's not the age or whatsoever, being given all the honors that he is due here.
Il faut donc dire que c'est l'idée, s'il y a un événement qu'on va retenir à l'occasion de la 52e édition de la fête nationale, ici même à Caen, c'est cette arrivée de ce jeune chef que vous présentez comme le plus jeune monarque de la région de l'Ouest.
Did you see that red carpet reception to the young fawn in Chad? The red carpet. While he's arriving, you see the administrators were already seated right to receive him. That is when you have an idea who you are and what you represent. That is when you have an idea what dignity has been bestowed in you and who you represent. This is how you act. When you are unpicked, when you have no idea who you are, when you have no idea what and who you represent, when you have no idea what dignity you have been endowed with, you behave like the so-called Southwest chiefs. You allow yourself to be humiliated. How I say, Chief Atemeba, go back. But in the end, joined his fellow colleagues to cave in, to bow. He backs and then he ends up bowing, ends up submitting to the humiliation. It was so hard to see. But then, I'm not surprised because this is exactly what happens when you settle for less than you deserve. I've always said it here, that you will end up with less than you settled for. That anytime you settle for less than you deserve, you end up with less than what you settled for. Because nobody takes you serious anymore. Because nobody sees you as a stakeholder then. You become a stake. So you are always in the menu. And they do with you whatever they can. Because if these morons, sorry to refer to chiefs like that, but they themselves have taken themselves to the sleepers level where we can now conveniently call them morons. Because if those morons have the least idea what they are, who they represent, what power they have in their hands, they wouldn't have made themselves that useless. If they just had that idea, of course, they don't have. Because you see, they should have looked at how their people reacted prior to the so-called 20th May. They would have observed that their people locked their houses, shut down their shops, closed their businesses, closed their transportation agencies, and stayed in their houses in protest, in total boycott of this day. It's not like by initiating and announcing and encouraging this ghost towns, we were not aware that La République du Cameroon was still going to have people marching. We were aware. They will always have. And we know how. If you're doubting, take a look at my screen. Oh no, I'm just not yet there. I will come to that. But before I come to that, let me point out that while these chiefs, these morons, were they humiliating themselves, their people were in agony. That's still in Fako, because on my screen there you're actually seeing the picture of our people in Fako, specifically around Muyuka area, protesting against the brutality, I mean serious brutality from soldiers of La République du Cameroon. Massive extortion, dehumanizing treatment. And they will be going through this pain, coming out on the streets to protest like this and hoping that the fathers of the land, the traditional rulers, could take this up to higher officers to make sure this nonsense stops. But unfortunately, while they are there protesting, the so-called chiefs, those morons, are out there caving in to the colonial administration of La République du Cameroon. Caving in fully, caving in absolutely. Yeah. Look at it. This is it.
Girl, put an solo. The population for Malende this. Population of farmers, the farmers and this. The farmers and this way, they don't remember for road where they fear army for go bush. As the Siam, the Lucam, the Malende population, this way, they don't remember road where they fear army for go bush. For very bad thing the way army they do for people them. The Luke population, where they don't remember for roads. Yes. People don't remember for road. They need one go bush where they fear army when they look at when they see the distance.
So yeah, and what did really happen now for Malende?
The population this way remember for road. Where they fear what way army they do for people them. Army they torture people, they will not sell for bush, beat people, shave all with women, they head them. Catch people, take me to the slap them, self-10 slap. Rob people them for mud, beat them with colass.
I said they take money for people.
Yes, 1,000 for settlement every day before you want to go bush. You carry in banga, you pay 1,000 for go carry in banga. One come, they assess in banga, say you will pay for each bag. Now oil, 1,000 for one jug oil, cassava they pay for army. I mean, don't make people really get peace for Malende here.
So what you want me to do now?
We want to make them move them for that place where they're there. They say they can't protect me, but they instead put me that trouble for skin. They don't make we suffer. People they fear for Malende. They let me put the start pack run for Malende because of army.
Okay.
Yes.
No problem.
You gotta put an solo.
That while the people are paining, while the people are suffering under the weight of the presence of colonial dogs, calling themselves soldiers, claiming they are coming to protect our people against their own children, against those fighting for their freedom, while they are there dehumanizing the folks. We heard what this gentleman said. That soldiers in Malende, everybody was Malende, will stand in the bushes. When women are going to the farms, they will catch them, they will flog them, some they will even shave their heads, and all of those things. I guess he was so afraid to say that they will even rape them in the bushes there. And then after doing all of that, they extort from them. So before you go to your farms, you have to pay a tax to the soldiers of La République du Cameroon, 1,000 CFA to go. I mean, on your way to the farm. Now, on your way back from the farm, if you have harvested any crops, you will pay custom duties, or you pay taxes, because custom, you pay taxes on your own crops that you harvested from your farm to the soldiers of La République du Cameroon. That they assess it in an arbitrary manner to them before you can go back to your house. So in the morning, before you go to your farm, 1,000 CFA. In the evening when you're coming back from your farm, depending on what you carry, you could end up paying even 5,000 CFA to the dogs of La République du Cameroon. I have not heard Belamoki Charles since these people came out on the streets on a rampage to protest. I have not heard Belamoki Charles come out to say this is horrible, this is wrong, this must stop. I didn't hear Chief Atem Ebako say any of this. On the contrary, they went to take sardine and bread and march in Boya, humiliating both themselves and the people whom they are supposed to represent. I didn't hear any of them. This is an eye-opener to all those southern Cameroonians who, because they think they have scores to settle with some in their communities, they say they are asking for the creation of La République du Cameroon military bases in their villages. See what they come with. This is what I've always said here. I've always raised these issues here. I've always condemned such thoughts here. And each time they have allowed it to happen, the consequences are clear. The people face horrible situations. Each time they mobilize people to say, oh no, you must fight against those who are fighting to defend your land. And sometimes they leave those communities, you expose yourself to this kind of extortion from La République du Cameroon. You ask yourself, why will soldiers of La République du Cameroon do this? No, they are in their role. That is how colonial administrations operate. They are extortionists. They are torturers. They always come in to maim, to dehumanize, to humiliate, and to extort. They will loot and loot as much as they can because it's not their land. They don't consider you as citizens of La République du Cameroon. They don't. Because if they were actually coming concerned, no, these are our brothers and sisters, they won't do what you have watched here. They don't do that in La République du Cameroon. You have a lot of soldiers deployed in the northern regions of La République du Cameroon to fight against Boko Haram. Have you heard the local population coming out to cry foul that they are being dehumanized in this manner? No, you've never heard. You will never hear. Because they consider them their citizens. We saw them in the south acting. My dear people of Amazonia, this kind of things should be a clear eye-opener to our people always. That as long as we don't get La République du Cameroon and the entire colonial administration and wipe all the vestiges of their presence in our land, we will continue to undergo this kind of humiliation on a daily basis. This is a fact. I'm not inventing it. You watched it. You heard the people suffering saying it themselves. People on the way to their farms, they will be held, hairs shaved, flogged, extorted, and even raped. That's happening in Fako. I don't know when Mbela Mokicha, who called himself senator, is. Mbela Mokicha is a kangaringa. That is all. It is shameful. It is embarrassing. But it is happening. And like I said, and then when they do this on our people, they know our people frustrated, terribly dehumanized, will never accept to freely go and participate in that nonsense they call 20 May or whatsoever. And so they settle out to do what they know how to do best. And bring people in and claim these are people. This is just how they get the people that come to march. Watch. It's public. As you can see, it's public. Sharing bread, Fanta, and money. Bread, juice, and cash. Raw cash. That's what they give as incentive for people to show up. And they tell you, oh, the population was massive. The people were really many. The people really came out en masse to show them. No, this is how they get them. This is how they recruit them. So you see, they'll say, oh no, too many people marched in Boya. This is how they get recruited. Too many people marched even at the SDF in Kumba. Wow, this was such a huge crowd. This is how they get recruited. No, because like I have said before and always, poverty in La République du Cameroon is a public policy. They enforce it even in the southern Cameroons. They make sure everyone is seriously impoverished so that even against your own wish, you will run for that 2,000, for that 1,000, for that 500, so that they will use you as a trophy to do their bidding anytime. Because they have gotten the people to be so impoverished so that for 2 bottles of beer, they will offer their identity. They will sell themselves. For 2 bottles of beer, a loaf of bread, and a cup of sardine, they can auction their family members. That's exactly what is going on. Take a watch again. They don't return anything. It's public. Bread and sardine. You look at able-bodied young men standing on the line to get this kind of humiliation, bread and sardine. This is because they have done things so much in such a way, so much so that they don't have anything for themselves. They don't have anything to eat. They don't have anything to live on. And so they get humiliated in this fashion. Anything they want from them, you just come with bread and sardine and stand. Your guys standing. You see, they start lining up like sheep. This is exactly what we are fighting against. This is exactly what, as a people, the people of the southern Cameroons are saying no. Yeah, the people of the southern Cameroons every day are saying no to this kind of humiliation. My dear people of Amazonia, it's a shame. So they should just name their country going forward the Bread and Sardine Republic. Every day, those things come to the fore. People see it. People talk about it. They decry it. But you know, it is hard. It is hard for people to really just cut off it. It is hard. It is difficult because the people have been so impoverished to the point that they don't even know what to live. They don't know how to survive. So when this one comes, it's salutary. That's what it is. And so they will do that. And then they will lure them to believe that they are the future. And so to those who continue to say, oh, like the Cameroon has subdued the self-defense or the freedom fighters in the southern Cameroon to the point that La République du Cameroon should proclaim victory, I wonder if they really give you the true figures of what La République du Cameroon is recording as losses for its soldiers in the southern Cameroons. This gentleman called Nzuimanto, who has been doing his own count, his own way for those that he is informed about, he's nearing 2,000. But when you talk to soldiers internally, who know that they do everything to hide the deaths, he tells you there are well over 4,000, if not even 5,000 soldiers of the Republic of Cameroon that have perished in the southern Cameroons. This is why every day they're hiring. You see, now again they're telling that they're hiring 1,800 young people into the B. Of course, rank and file. Because at this moment, a good lot of those soldiers have discovered that the southern Cameroons has become a land of no return. So quite a good number of them defect as soon as they get to the southern Cameroons. I said that before. As soon as they get onto our territories, they defect. A good lot of them simply sell their weapons in exchange or offer their weapons in exchange for passage. Yet another group, they simply get into the business of snatching and auctioning weaponry that La République du Cameroon is trying to use to overpower our people. They sell back to the same people they're supposed to be fighting against. Oh yes, the reason is simple. Because they are on very paltry salary that they know that they're just sacrificial lambs. 42,250, and they have seen a good lot of their colleagues perish on a daily basis. So they are running. Those that they send abroad for training, so they should get better training to return and, continue to visit, massacre, torture, and pain on our people. A good lot get abroad and defect right to the point where the Republic of Cameroon has simply stopped that kind of exchange programs for rank and file soldiers because they have realized that a good lot are running away. Yeah, this is a clear sign that it is not going well for La République du Cameroon in the southern Cameroons. A clear indication that La République du Cameroon knows that every single day that passes, they are playing with humiliation. Because before long, they will be humiliated out of our land. This is a clear fact. So I didn't fabricate this. This has just been thrown out there. And this is every day, almost every year. You see 1,800 now for the B. I promise you, the next 1 or 2 months, you see another one come out that this time it is for the infantry. You'll be hearing they're hiring 5,000, 6,000. because every year thousands of them are out of the game. My dear people of Amazonia, we just have to stand strong. We have to continue to stay strong in this liberation movement. We have to continue to fight with all our might and make sure, folks, that we don't ever give up. There will be too many reasons that will be presented before us that we feel like, oh, because of this, I really need to give up. But I assure you, think of the benefit. Let your focus be on the big prize, which is that freedom that we seek. The freedom to turn our country into a land of milk and honey. The freedom to decide or make our own development choices. The freedom to create and put in place a very functional democracy based on strong institutions, not on strong men. Yeah, that's what we are seeking. The freedom to transform our land, to make it a gentle little heaven, where most of our people who have escaped into the diaspora can come back home and develop it and beat their chest and say, this is the land of my birth. This is sweet Southern Cameroons, aka Amazonia, where I belong. This is the land of our ancestors. And then we will never ever again allow ourselves to be subdued, whatever the circumstances. I'd like to thank each and every one of you who took time off to be part of this broadcast. As you round up, make sure you click the share button. Of course, you should like. Make sure you share as much as possible. Let's continue to encourage, educate, and mobilize as many people as possible to continue to push this liberation movement until we cross the finish line. Thank you so much for your kind attention. To God be the glory.